Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to be going over how to use the use the features of a quadratic to graph in standard form. So this lesson is both groups are going to be doing it in class. This video is just for people who missed class or people who want to come back and watch it, for studying for the test. So there's 4 questions on here. I'm only going to do one question in full. I want you guys to try the rest on your own. In class, that's kind of how we're going to do it. But I'm just going to kind of show you, all the steps and how you could do this. So when you're graphing a quadratic, all right, you learned some of these features in the Desmos activity that we did, but just walking through it from the beginning. First thing you want to do is identify A, B, and C, okay? That comes from standard form, all right? And if you go look at our notes from the quadratic formula, all right, it's the same A, B, and C there. So you've got your A value out in front there, in front of your x squared. You've got your B value in front of your x, and your C value is by itself. So our A value is 1, our B value is -4, and our C value is 1, okay? Now there's a couple things that you learned in the Desmos activity. The first one is the shape of the graph. So we know that all of our functions are going to be a U. The question is the direction of the U. Now, in this problem, A is positive, okay? And the shape of the graph, or the direction the U is facing, is all determined by that A value, okay? If your A value is positive, then your graph is going to be going up, which ours is, so we're going to have a normal U. If your A value is negative, then you would have an upside down U. So we know that our U is going to be going up. The next thing that you need to do is find the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry was that line going directly down the middle of your U. And the axis of symmetry is determined with this formula right here, x equals -b over 2a. So we're just going to plug our numbers in, all right? Our b value is -4, so it's important here, all right, to plug your b value in, put it in parentheses, okay, because you should notice, all right, you've got a negative sign here and a negative sign here. That makes 2 negative signs after you plug your b in. Then you've got 2a, all right, a is 1. And so when we do this, okay, this makes 4 divided by 2, which is 2, okay? So our axis of symmetry is at x equals 2, and we can represent that, all right, with a dotted line going through x equals 2, okay? What else does that tell us? Okay, well, the axis of symmetry also tells us where the vertex is, because the vertex lies on the axis of symmetry. So that was another thing that we wanted you to see in the Desmos activity. So symmetry means it's the same on both sides. So we're going to put the axis of symmetry in the middle of our table, all right, where our vertex is. So now we need to find the b value, or not the b value, the y value of the vertex, okay? We know it lies on the line x equals 2. In order to find the b value, or why do I keep saying the b value? The y value of the vertex, you're just going to plug 2 back into your quadratic. So we're going to plug in 2 for x because, as you guys know, function notation, all right? You can plug in any x value to get your corresponding y value. So if we plug in 2, this will tell us the vertex. So we've got 2 squared, that's 4. We've got 4 times 2, that's 8. And then we've got plus 1, so 4 minus 8, that's -4, plus 1, which is -3. So we know that our vertex is at 2, -3. So that's the number that we're going to put in the middle of our table, and I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so we've got 2, -3. So we're going to plot that point here, and that is our vertex. All right, so there's 1 point, and if you look down here, we're going to have 5 points, okay? The next number, the y-intercept, okay, this is the last thing that you learned in the Desmos activity. The y-intercept is always your c value, okay, because we know the y-intercept is when we plug in 0 for x. And so if we plug in 0, both those numbers go away and we're left with just c. So that's an easy number that we can get, okay, our y-intercept. So we know our y-intercept is at 0, 1. So we can go ahead and plot that point on there as well. Now, the interesting thing is that the axis of symmetry means that your points should be reflected across both sides, okay? And what that means is this point right here is 2 spaces away from the axis of symmetry. Oops. That means there should be another point right here, okay? Because your u is going to be the same on both sides. So those are 2 points that we're going to put in our table. So we know that 0, 1 is going to be in our table. We know that 2, -3 is going to be in the middle. So that means 1 is going to be right there. 0, we know this is going to be 3, 4. So we're kind of surrounding our axis of symmetry, or our vertex, with the numbers closest to it. We know the y-intercept is at 1, which means we also know this number's got to be 1 as well, because we've got that point that's been reflected across. So really, we only have 2 numbers in our table that we don't know, but we do know those numbers are going to be the same. Again, for the same reason that those ones are the same, right? It's the axis of symmetry. It's got to be the same on both sides. So the last thing that we're going to do to graph is we need one more point, okay? So we just need to plug either 1 or 3 in to our function, okay? You can plug in whichever number you want. You should get the same number for both of them. You just need whichever one is easier. So I think 1 is easier to plug in than 3. So I'm going to plug in 1. All right, 1 squared is 1, minus 4 plus 1. All right, 1 minus 4 is -3, plus 1 is -2. So we know that these spots are going to be -2. So we've got 1, -2, and we've got 3, -2 on our paper. And that should be our u, okay? Now, one more thing that I want to show you, all right, is that, just looking up some cooking stuff. One thing that I want to show you is, just like always, all right, we're going to give you access to Desmos when you're doing this, all right? Now, you still need to show all this work, all right? All this work shown, or you don't get credit. But you can still use Desmos to help you graph, all right? You can put that there. You can click the table button. You can make a table. You can put more points down in your table, all right? You can easily see where all the points is. You can see the vertex is at 2, -3. Now, you still need to show this work right here and this work right here, showing me that you can get the vertex on your own, but you can still know if you're right or not. You can know the other points in your table. You know the y-intercept right there at 0, 1. Oops, that's not it. You can get 4, 1 right there. You can see that your other point is at 1, -2, and 3, -2. All right, you can get these points, all right, for your graph so that you know your 5 points are in the right spots, okay? There's really not any excuse to get these questions wrong on the test when you have the points here helping you, okay? But I want you guys to practice showing the work and just using Desmos, to check to make sure that you did it right. If you did something wrong, then you can fix it. So that's it. I want you to go ahead and try the rest on your own, okay? Just looking through, seeing if there's anything that might screw you up on this question, okay? Notice that you don't have an x term, all right? So what this actually looks like, it actually looks like this, all right? If you don't have an x term, it's 0. So B is going to be 0 for this problem right here. Same thing here. Here you do have an x term. You don't have any number by itself, so that's kind of like plus 0. So here 0 would be your C term, okay? So that's it. Go ahead and try these. If you have any questions, let me know. and have a great day.